this the inaugural Manufacturing and Engineering Week, and what a week it has been. We started off with a fantastic range of keynote speakers on our digital day on Tuesday. I'm sure many of you joined us for that, but if you didn't, there's still time to watch them as they're all available on our YouTube channel on demand now. So you can hear from Jürgen Meyer, from Brian Holliday, from Catherine Bennett and from Chris Courtney, all talking about manufacturing, engineering, the future, the scope and the opportunities ahead. So please do dial into those. Hopefully many of you joined the thousands and thousands that have been with us over the last 2 days at the live section at the NEC. What a phenomenal couple of days it has been. Overwhelmed with the response, so we're hugely grateful for everyone that participated, for all our partners and for everyone that's engaged with us in making this a fantastic first year, and it's very much onwards and upwards from now. So today we just have a couple more sessions to do. Shortly I will be speaking to Natig Azudelev, who is the event director for Manufacturing and Engineering Week, who I think is a very tired man right now, but hopefully excited and looking forward to talking to us about what's been going on and what we can look forward to next year. And then after that, I will be in conversation with Ben Fletcher, the Chief Operations Officer for Make UK, one of our principal partners, and a real driving force behind the success of UK manufacturing and engineering. So stay with us. It's going to be absolutely brilliant, and thank you once again for all your support. So, as I said in the intro, we are joined by Natig Azudelev, the event director, who I assume is a very, very happy man. When we spoke to you on Tuesday, it was all about to happen. Now it has all happened. How are you feeling?
Very happy. Well, very tired, but very happy. You know, it's been 18 months in making, right? So a lot of hard work. Last 3-4 months have been, so much focusing to make this as, as perfect as we can. I'm very happy because walking through the show in these 2 days, seeing so many people smiling, grateful, excited to come back, excited that something like this now is on the map. That's what we feed off to, it's just of happy customers, and there was a lot of them in the last couple of days.
Absolutely brilliant. And so I've been in and around manufacturing now for quite a long time. Obviously, doesn't look like I could possibly have been because I'm so youthful, but I have actually been around this sector for quite a long time now. And what was really amazing for me in a launch year, not just the scale of what has been achieved, but seeing so many stakeholders from across industry, all aspects of the manufacturing and engineering landscape, all coming together to support this and really get behind it. It was just incredible.
Wasn't it just? Yeah, absolutely. We are so grateful because we couldn't do it without support of Make UK, IED, Made Smarter, Innovate UK, MTC, HVM Catapult. I can't even mention them all because the list of people who were behind us from the day one, guiding us, helping us, supporting us in every possible way, it's been incredible. And I think, to be honest, big part of the success we've seen is because most of the key players of the market came together. They realized the need for an event like that. They were behind it, and that's where we are now. Looking to make this even bigger and better for the next year, because we have this amazing, selection of very important industry partners who are truly behind us, who truly understand what this market needs, and they guide us and they support us at the same time.
Yeah, and that's been the case right the way through. So it was really nice to do that for everyone that was able to attend in the evening. That VIP advisory board dinner on the first night was great fun because everyone coming together, everyone's so supportive.
Absolutely. It was just also our small way of saying thank you because yeah, we couldn't have done it without them.
Absolutely. And so, as you say, I mean, I obviously walked the floors. I don't know what my step count is. I'm almost frightened to look over the course of the last 2 days. But there was so much to see and do, so many great speakers, so many cool things happening on stands. So, what were your highlights over the last couple of days?
Ooh, well, I mean, to be honest, it was amazing to see at the beginning of the show the welcome note and welcome presentation from Kozik Watang, Lord Hutton, and Stephen Phipps, and so much passion, energy, direction. It set the right tone for the whole event. It was great to see Wilkinson's presentation as well. All across the board, we had four keynotes and five workshops. So many great speakers, and despite them all actually running at the same time, they were busy. There was a lot of engaging conversations, a lot of discussions, people kind of asking questions, really, igniting um, a lot of thought process, a lot of passion there. So that was one thing. Second thing, it was amazing to see on site, despite this being the first time we did it, so many, I mean, beautiful, smart looking stands. Was speaking with a couple of visitors, and it was amazing to see that they actually didn't know this was a launch because the show did not look like a launch. So I mean, thanks to our exhibitors, they were very inventive. They were coming up with a lot of products on the stands, not just gray kind of boring looking shell skim stands. Not at all. A lot of every stand was there had something great about it, something interactive about it. So that was another thing. And of course, on a fun bit, it was insane to see the great egg race because when I saw the what they were working with, I thought they can never do it. But seeing these brilliant minds building out of nothing this mechanism that can catapult an egg into a basket across 1 meter wall, and actually that's happening, and the egg's not breaking. It's just it was fun and also very impressive to see how quickly these guys can think of very effective solutions.
Well, I guess that's the nature of manufacturing and engineering across the board, isn't it? It's innovation, it's fast paced, and
Yeah.
it's delivering a solution that works. I must admit, I watched one of them and looking at the different ways that they tried to approach the process. And the one that impressed me
Yeah.
the most, I think, I forget which team it was, so sorry I can't give you a shout out, but they had basically turned the egg into a sea urchin. They'd put loads of sticks around it, so all that the pressure when it landed went through the sticks that surrounded it, so it didn't impact the egg and it just landed in the basket.
Yeah.
I mean, just incredible to see. But as you
Of
say,
course.
so many cool things happening. But one big thing that happened, obviously, was just before the show opened, before the physical doors opened at the NEC, was the phenomenal announcement that 19 Group had bought Hennick, the owners of the Manufacturer magazine and Smart Factory Expo. I mean, the manufacturer, as I say, I've been in this space for a long time. I used to own publications within the sector and also worked across them, and there are lots, and we've got many great media partners working with us on this event. But on the manufacturing side, the manufacturer was always that kind of hallowed title. So this is just phenomenal news, and it's very exciting. How's that going to impact things going forward?
Yeah, it means a lot for us. It was amazing they found out about it. It means it's very important. Now we have the full body the support of the most important manufacturing title in the UK, and we're really excited about it because future it's even brighter now. It brings so much prestige and knowledge and reach and possibilities of collaboration. It's just exactly what we need to keep growing, to keep making one big Hanover Messe of UK as as we want to as we refer to it. And of course, we hope to have some more exciting announcement in the coming weeks. So watch the space.
Yeah, it's really exciting to be part of it, and I think, as you say, as a first step, it's not been a bad one. It's not been a bad one at all.
Not at all.
So we are now in the final part. This is after we've completed our next speaker session with Ben Fletcher. That will be the end of M&E Week for 2022. So what's next for you, other than a big sleep, I'd imagine?
Well, yeah. Well, of course, we will take some time to rest, to recover. After that, as we usually do, we're going to have a big, long a workshop meeting where we'll sit down and look at and reflect on how this year's event went. There was a lot of things that were incredible to be repeated. But of course, at any show, there is areas that can be improved. So we're gonna reflect on it. We're gonna think of the how everything went, what can we improve, what can we do better, and ultimately, how can we build and expand this event to becoming even, even more awesome, even more amazing. So yeah, it's about setting up a strategy now for the 2023 and slowly, methodically moving towards achieving it.
Well, it sounds like you are going to be still pretty busy, I'm afraid, mate. So enjoy a weekend. Maybe get a rest over the
Yeah,
weekend
as they say,
before it's foot
show
down
must
on
go
the
on, right?
accelerator from Monday onwards. But
Yes,
thank
indeed.
you so much for joining us, and thank you for the insight into the plans going forward and how it's been over the last few days. And anybody wanting to get involved who wasn't maybe involved this time round, what's the best way for them to do that if they wanted to exhibit or participate?
It's very easy. Just visit our websites, any of them. There's a form there where you can fill in. There's contact details of our direct contact details, how to get hold of us. And either myself or one of my colleagues will be happily, set up a time and discuss and understand what is the best way for you, for your company to get involved at the event.
Brilliant. Well, hopefully many people will be doing that to join the whole swathe of companies that participated and the thousands. I mean, we were there and it was literally thousands of manufacturing and engineering professionals coming through the doors. So it was just really exciting to see. So in the meantime, thank you so much, Natig, and have a great weekend.
Thank you so much for this. You too. See you soon.
Thank you so much to Natig there for his insight as to what's coming. I think everyone watching can agree it's pretty exciting times, but the journey Manufacturing and Engineering Week is on, and the future that it has before it is a bright one. So we are now here. We are into the final session of Manufacturing and Engineering Week, and that gin and tonic at the end of the week is stampeding ever closer. So I am delighted to welcome as our final guest of the week is Ben Fletcher, the Chief Operations Officer for Make UK, one of our principal partners, and someone that has also been there for the duration. So I'm sure is just as tired as I am, but we're going to keep grinning through the screens because we're nearly there. So Ben, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure, Ed. It's absolutely wonderful to be here, and it's been a fantastic week. I think everyone deserves at least the gin and tonic at the end of it. But it's been a wonderfully successful week, and it's been great to be on that journey with you and the team.
Well, thank you, and the support of Make UK has been absolutely instrumental. You can make no bones about that. Obviously, the biggest association, a powerhouse for championing manufacturing and engineering in the UK, with close ties to government, with instrumental in impacting all aspects of industry in every single vertical market. So we've just come off the back of this incredibly busy week. Manufacturing Engineering Week has taken a long time. It's taken a lot of each of our times from Make UK, from 19 Group and across the board of everybody that's partnered with us to deliver what has been delivered over the course of this last week. But I guess the question I have is, why is there a need for something like Manufacturing and Engineering Week?
I think there is a really critical need, and we were so keen to work with you and were so pleased when you brought the idea to us, because one of the really important things that people often forget about manufacturing in Britain is its scale and its diversity. We sometimes joke about it in our media and member conversations that we've got firms who are making fighter jets and nuclear submarines, and we've got firms who are making drill bits for dentists, which are measured in the fractions of a micron, and all points in between. And why I think there was a real need for this, and why we were so keen to work with you, is there aren't enough things that bring the industry as a whole together. And we're very conscious. We work with many partner organizations who represent a specific section of manufacturing, a particular skills discipline, or a particular interest group. And actually what doesn't happen enough is to bring the whole sector together. And I think Manufacturing and Engineering Week was a fantastic addition to the landscape, and I think will go on to grow and become an even more important focal point, because actually bringing the organizations together, bringing the companies together, bringing the sector together doesn't happen enough. And actually it was an opportunity to talk about the really big things that matter. And what I found really interesting, walking around, talking to the companies that were there, talking to people who'd come along to be part of it, was a real enthusiasm and a real interest in those big issues. And it was also a great place for people to showcase their skills, their products, their talent, but in that wider context, and talking to people they might not normally have talked to at other events. So a really important addition to the landscape, an exceptionally well organised and premier quality event. And I think it really filled a gap that was there, and it made a real difference.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't agree more. Obviously, I'm going to say that as well, one of the founders of the event, but that energy you talked about across everywhere that you went, whether it was the questioning in the conference sessions, whether it was detailed practical questions for people that had, specific engineering or manufacturing problems within workshops, but there was just a buzz and an energy across it the whole way through. You obviously very kindly chaired the manufacturing conference for us on day 2, but in your day 1, when you kind of got a chance to actually explore and look around, were there any specific highlights for you? What did you really enjoy looking at and seeing and learning about?
I think there were 2 or 3 things really, and I mean it was genuinely remarkable to walk into the room during the day, and often at big events you can get a sense almost immediately from the moment you walk through the door, whether it's a good event, whether people are interested, whether it's happening. And if you walk in and it's all a bit quiet, that tells you a huge amount. And I walked in into Hall 6, and there was just a buzz. There was a real genuine sense of enthusiasm. There was a real sense of energy. There were lots of people there. People were working their way around all of the stands. I think that the 2 real highlights for me were on the first day. On Make UK's stand, we took some of the kit that we use with our apprentice engineers at our training centre in Birmingham, and we were having people practice and learning how to weld and doing a welding competition. And you had a large group of very mature, sensible, grown-up people giggling and laughing like a group of school kids as they were attempting to either master a skill that they hadn't used for a long time or do something new for the first time. And I just thought that was brilliant. You often see lots of demonstrators at big events and no one's anywhere near them. They've all gone to get a coffee or chat to some mates. And I think what was great about that was it just encapsulated that energy in the room, that you had a group of people doing something that's absolutely one of the core skills for much of our sector, and just having fun and behaving like kids again. I think the second highlight for me really sort of came through talking to people who had listened to some of the big speeches during the first day. And I think that Make UK and others had really helped get the event off with a bang, because what people were saying, and this goes back to my point about the kind of sense of bringing everyone together, listening to people and chatting to people when I arrived who were talking about how the speeches had really opened their eyes to the scale of some of the success and the achievements and the brilliance of the sector, and had also made them realise what they needed to focus on within their companies, and what were going to be the really big issues that were going to come down the line over the next few years. And it was really kind of clear that what people were getting right at the beginning of the event was that sense of scale, that sense of, even if I was in food and drink manufacturing and I was with someone who came from heavy industry, actually there were some real cross-cutting issues, and people were beginning to understand stepping back from running their own businesses or being part of a complex body, actually there were some really important unifying themes, and people were really excited to hear about the successes and also really interested to hear about what they needed to do and what they needed to focus on. And that helped create that buzz on day one that was really tangible.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more on the opening speeches. I mean, Lord Hutton, obviously the new Make UK chair, who's obviously following on from your previous chair. So tough shoes to fill there, because obviously a tremendous performance from your previous chair, and now Lord Hutton in place. But what was really great from both his keynote and also from Stephen Phipson, the CEO of Make UK, was that in both occasions, not at all afraid to duck the tough questions, the detailed questions. And on both occasions, obviously, we both stood there watching it. The theatres were absolutely packed. And it would have been, I think it kind of feels like they'd still be there now taking questions if we hadn't had to cut it short for the next ones to come through. It was really great to see that level of engagement coming through on, as you say, tough topics, talking about government support, talking about supply chain and access to all of the different services that we need to grow manufacturing, and which these manufacturing companies are saying, well, who's going to help us? And obviously that's what you guys are there to do.
Very much. I mean, one of our problems in Make UK is we keep recruiting shrinking violets who don't like to stand up and speak. So it was a real headache to get everyone out there on a platform. But actually, I think one of the really important things, one of the things we take most seriously, is that we are the mouthpiece for a sector, and there are people whose job it is to talk about some of the very, very niche issues. But I think our recognition of our role in this industry is to champion the sector, think about those big strategic issues, think about those long-term issues. And we're never frightened to come and speak and take questions, because that's the best way of actually, making sure that we're on the right track, making sure that we are representing the issues. But it's also a really important way of understanding quite how members are feeling, quite what the industry mood is, quite what the pressures of the sector are. Because when John or Stephen or myself are in meetings with ministers, when we're in meetings with some of the big policymakers in the country, when we're talking to opposition politicians and heavy-hitting journalists, the reason why people want to hear from us is that what we say is accurate, what we say is informed by members, informed by the sector. We don't jump on the back of every trivial issue. What we do is we really understand the mood, we understand the pressures, and if we say something's a really, really big issue, government takes notice and listen, because they know that what we say has got the hallmark of proper research, and it's tested with our members.
And I think that leads very nicely into where I want to take us next, because we all know that there's a huge range of opportunities and challenges facing the manufacturing and engineering sector in the UK. We also know, so we keep talking about it, 9th biggest manufacturer, 19% of all UK workforce, 50% of exports. It's a huge, huge thing. But at the same time, in a post-Brexit, post-pandemic economy, it's also our biggest hope for growth, for delivering an economy that the country needs. So you've talked about you have to focus on the key issues. What are the key things that Make UK is focusing, and therefore the industry is wanting to focus on, and what progress are we making against those?
I mean, it is a packed agenda, and your articulation of those external opportunities and pressures is as always spot on. I mean, I think really at the moment, the central issue that we are most focused on, because it is both a tactical issue and a strategic issue, is the issue of skills in the economy. We've all seen the challenge that we've had post-COVID, where we have for the first time substantially more vacancies in the economy than we have unemployed people. But actually there is a long-term trend here about what's happening in our sector. And we have been really working very hard with government for a long time on things like the way that the education system works, and the fact that it often is a disincentive to young people to start apprenticeships when they're 16, and that the FE sector for so long hasn't had the funding that it needed to provide really high quality skills training. because skills training for manufacturers and engineers is expensive. It requires lots and lots of equipment. It requires lots of modernization. And as we move into a digital and artificial intelligence driven world, that cost will only grow. And actually, as a country, we've lagged behind many of our competitors in the infrastructure that allows us to do that. And the school system encourages people to stay on and doesn't encourage them often to take apprenticeships, even though that is often a fantastic career opportunity for many people. And we're now at this really challenging moment where there is a wider economic problem for the country as a whole, many countries as a whole, accentuated possibly for the UK by Brexit, and actually where we've had 20 or 25 years of low investment, and in some cases no investment in helping build that pipeline. So I think the really big issue that we're focused on is getting government to understand that the implications of the things we've been talking to them about for a while are now really quite significant. And what we need is a fundamental rethink on what the skills policy needs to be over the next few years. And Stephen was in a meeting at the beginning of the week with Nadeem Zahawi, the Secretary of State for Education. We've been having conversations with Number 10 and with DWP and with BAYS. And I think there is a growing understanding now that if we want to be an important and powerful nation in manufacturing and indeed other sectors, the country now needs to really tackle the skills problem and the skills issue. And we need to have a strategy for how we're going to address some of these problems and turn some of these challenges around as soon as we can, and also have a strategic plan as to how we're going to grow the next 2 or 3 generations of people coming into engineering and manufacturing. I think outside of that particular issue, I think we spoke a lot actually yesterday at day 2 about what people see as the opportunity that might come on the back of the lessons we've learned as a country from COVID, and actually the lessons that the world has learned very recently over the last few weeks following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which is about the fragility of supply chains. And actually partners like RS, who were a key sponsor of that discussion, and many other firms were talking about the tangible work that they've done to support those supply chains and make sure that they can be strengthened. But I think there is a real opportunity here for us to think about how we bring back onshore lots of things that have been done elsewhere, how we make those supply chains more robust. And I think what was really important and what came out of the debate yesterday was a recognition that this isn't just going to happen by magic. This is an opportunity, but it's only going to be realised if we get all of the key decisions right over the next few years. And actually, we do some fantastic stuff. Manufacturing in the UK is about 2/3 of all of our research and development expenditure. So if we want to bring more work back on board, we've got to turn that R&D expenditure into tangible products at the end of the day. And often our challenge is we do that, but they're bought out by foreign investors, and the work and the ideas go overseas. I think there's also something really important that Make UK can work with members, work with the sector, and we're certainly working with government on, which is how do we have the right strategy for things like digitization and artificial intelligence, and programs that we had a fantastic company called Crystal Doors who have benefited from this program yesterday. The Made Smarter pilot, which has happened in the northwest of England, it's starting to roll out in a few other places around the UK as well. Projects and programs that are going to help people take the first steps on digitization and implementing new technology on their production lines. If we want to take the full value out of the onshoring and reshoring opportunity, we've got to make sure that we can compete. We've got to make sure that we can do things as efficiently at a competitive price and to the highest possible quality. And in some cases, that's going to be about us taking a step change there. And what we've seen over the last 10 years or so, really accentuated in the last 5 years, is a real slowdown of the investment that we need to make that happen. So I think that's a really big theme. What we're talking to government about is how they can enable that, how they can really boost some of those programs like Made Smarter, how we can give firms who want to invest, but particularly small firms who are a bit unsure and a bit nervous about what the right technology to choose is, what the right approach to take is, how that's going to help them, how they can upskill their workforce so that they can work with this new technology. If we want to really look over the next 5 years and as the world starts to rebuild and recreate these complex supply chains and make them shorter and in some cases have a stronger domestic focus, I think some of those things, the skills issue is going to be relevant, but also it's really critical that the firms that are around there are able to compete and have modernized and have increased productivity so that we can win that business on grounds of quality and cost, and not just assume that it will just come back naturally. And I think that's an absolutely fundamental issue. And there was real interest in some really, really buzzy Q&A sessions yesterday about how we make that happen. And I think finally, the net zero issue is really crucial. And Make UK had a great platform to talk about this over the last 2 days. It's absolutely part of that benefit of M&E Week, bringing the sector together, which is about understanding that this isn't just a challenge. It's a challenge for everybody. It's a challenge for every household in the country. It's a challenge for every business in the country. But really for us, what we want to get across, and what we're starting to get people coming on the journey with us, is that this is also a place where manufacturing can show that we're part of the solution rather than just a part of the problem. And often government's lazy perception, often the public's uninformed perception, is that this is about dirty factories with big chimneys, chucking out smoke, making things, chucking lots of pollutants out. And often the truth couldn't be further from that stereotype, and often an ill-informed stereotype. Actually, what is going to help us achieve net zero, what's going to enable us to tackle this enormous global challenge, is the ideas and the creativity that comes out of manufacturing, that R&D expenditure, that way that we can do things better, that way we can do things cleaner, the products that will enable us to have the next generation of air and ground sourced heat pumps that can produce even faster energy, produce hotter temperatures in an even cleaner way. The factories that can convert their own processes so that they're much more efficient, much more energy conscious, utilize solar, utilize wind, with some fantastic examples of both the very biggest companies in the UK and some really small SME going concerns that are family businesses working off one site. And it doesn't matter the scale. They both got amazing success stories about how they're actually well on the way to net zero. They found it to be a business enabler, not a business hindrance. It's brought down costs enormously. It's helped them on that journey towards rolling out digitization and AI and the next industrial revolution. And actually, that was a really, really important thing that a lot of people I spoke to came away from a position of arriving and feeling a bit anxious, a bit depressed about the scale of the challenge and how it was a problem, and left feeling, I think, energized and invigorated about how they could do their part, but also how this could be a really important commercial opportunity, because if we get the products right and the services that go around them, then we can be really part of that future. And British manufacturing and engineering, yet again, can lead the world in some of this technology. And I think that's where we want to get people both in the sector and in government to understand what the challenge and what the opportunity is.
Well, very, very well put, as you'd expect. You talked about crystal doors. Obviously, Ben talked about that journey yesterday as part of one of the keynotes taking place. And they're a great example of a small business that has said, we are going to take net zero and we're not going to wait. We're going to do it right now. The owners got behind it, and through transition, through using digitization, through looking into digital manufacturing and growth and change, and they've achieved it. They've already achieved it. And it is inspiring. But, we always talk about manufacturing. And I think when I speak to friends who aren't involved in this sector at all, and you talk about manufacturing, they'll go, oh, you mean Rolls-Royce, you mean Aston Martin, you mean JLR, Airbus. Maybe that's all they can name. But actually, still as a nation, 99.7% of all manufacturing and engineering businesses in the UK remain SMEs. And that I think hit the nail on the head with it. And when we talked on Tuesday with Jürgen Meyer, he echoed the point, which is that when you're at the coalface of your SME and you're looking at different things and possibly wearing different hats, it can seem like distraction to look at this new, where someone's saying it's an opportunity, is going to be too much to think about. It's a step too far. What will we miss out on by doing that? But actually, there are quick wins that manufacturers can gain by moving their attention. And then there's a longer win as well. So both from a sustainability and all of us having a planet left, which obviously we all want, but from a pure business perspective, the opportunity in front of them by following things like the Made Smarter opportunities and the various different projects that are in place already not just waiting for new government initiatives. The things are there now and available for people. So it was great to see people interacting and taking advantage of those over the last couple of days. And as you say, hopefully taking that on and really running with it.
I think that was one of the great strengths of the wonderful event that we've just seen and which you've put on, which was that people came wanting to talk, wanting to share, and also wanting to listen and to learn. And what people got from a number of presentations, Crystal Doors was a particularly good one. There were several others. But what people got, I think, was that sense of confidence that, as you say, even if you're a relatively small business, if this feels like another pressure, another cost on the balance sheet when times over the next couple of years, might make it hard to invest. Actually, if you do it in the right way, if you embrace it, not only is this the right thing to do, but it genuinely gives you commercial advantage, commercial benefit. Crystal Doors talked about every single decision that they've made has actually been cash positive for them on the balance sheet. And when people come together, hear that, see the proof of it, it means they go away feeling inspired, I think. And I think a lot of people were in that situation at the end of their visit to the NEC this week.
Yeah. And also going back to Skills has been, how long have I been around manufacturing engineering? I don't know, say 10, 12 years. In that time, I'm probably making myself younger than I actually am, so it's probably longer actually. But in that time, it feels like Skills has been the kind of the perennial debate. We need to change the perception of manufacturing and engineering. We need to be bringing more people in. We've got a skills shortage. How are we going to address it? We've got a diversity shortage and obviously a gender issue or challenge, should I say, within manufacturing and engineering. And one of the speakers from the last couple of days who I always think of is a bit of a rock star is Will Butler-Adams. I like, obviously what he's done with his team at Brompton is a fantastic British success story, both in terms of engineering initiatives, innovation, export, IP. They've now got this huge manufacturing investment that they're bringing and keeping at home in the UK. So, I mean, he's ticking every box as a business for us to be waving the flag about how brilliantly they're doing. But what I love about him when he speaks, and he obviously opened the engineering side of the conference for us on day one, is his freshness of thought and his inspirational way of looking at people and how he empowers them. And I do wonder, if you could sprinkle a bit of the Will Butler-Adams sparkle across our industry more. It just feels like you kind of want him to. It's a TEDx talk waiting to happen. That's what I said to him afterwards, because he has such a fresh way of looking at things. And it is, how do we engage people to not just be passionate about building and making things and having really great mathematical brains and scientific ways of approaching stuff, and that's their passion, their DNA, and therefore they gravitate towards us. But how can we get them so that they are inspired and excited by the people they're going to interact with, the way that the businesses operate, and the way that the future that's kind of shown to them, that kind of light touch empowerment to go and innovate. Now, I know that doesn't apply to every business in manufacturing, so you can't do it across the board. But it does feel like we need more. What would help the case is if we had more rock stars, and how are we going to generate those people that are coming out? And I know you've got a big campaign coming up all about trying to bring that through.
Yeah, we are incredibly focused on that. And I think one of the really interesting things about the industry is that there are lots and lots of rock stars out there, but they've yet to be given a mic and yet to be encouraged away from just talking into their mirror at home. And we have to do things to cultivate that. The best bits of your event, the best bits of things that we do in terms of the feedback we get are always when people hear from someone in the industry who's done something different, done something new, because that really speaks to the attendees. It's relevant. People hear it. It chimes with them. And I think Will is a great example of that. And I think there are lots more out there. And what we're trying to do with an initiative we're calling National Manufacturing Day is to really do two things. It's happening this year on the 7th of July. It's the first year we've done it. And it's something that's come out of our very close relationship with our sister organization in Washington, D.C., National Association of Manufacturers. And over the last sort of 10 or 15 years, National Manufacturing Day in the States has become a really big thing. And it has two big ambitions. One of them is that it's about getting that next generation of people into factories, into workshops, into manufacturing environments, and to dispel some of the myths. And they have exactly the same challenge in the States, that it's seen as a low-paid industry. It's seen as a dangerous industry. It's not somewhere that parents encourage their kids to develop a career. And it's been fantastically effective for them in the States in getting schools and local manufacturers, local engineering businesses to come together and to get people from the community to step away from their environment and go and visit a manufacturer. And 50 years ago, those businesses were right in city centres and everyone knew all about them. And these days, in both the UK and the US, that's no longer the case pretty much. And often they're hidden away, they're not on people's radars. And that's why some of this ability for myths to form it takes off, because there's a real space there to do that. And National Manufacturing Day, in its first sort of objective, is to break those barriers down, get kids from schools there, get people who are thinking about what they're going to do when they're older, thinking about what GCSEs they're going to do, what their path might be, to get switched on to our sector, to get excited about our sector. Because I think you and I share a similar view. There have been very, very few manufacturing businesses I've visited that you haven't left without thinking, wow, that's amazing. And it doesn't matter what they do. It's really interesting and it's exciting. Quite frankly, I wonder why I've spent so much time in my life in offices, because they are fantastic environments to be in. And if we can get even 1 in every 10 kids, 1 in every 50 kids to feel excited about that, and particularly kids who don't have a connection through family members, particularly opening up that diversity agenda for young women and girls to be excited about that industry and be in an environment they might not have been in, people from minority communities who don't have a connection to that industry. I think this is really important, and I think will help. It will take some time, and we have to start somewhere, and it will build every year, but we're really proud of that and really keen to make that a success. And the enthusiasm that we've got from both companies and from schools and educational settings has been immense. And I think the second part to the point you were just making is, in every business, sometimes it's an apprentice, sometimes it's the person who's been there for 50 years and just loves the business, sometimes it's the CEO. But every business has got an advocate somewhere. Every manufacturing place, every factory has got someone that you can put in front of an audience and they can bring that place to life. They can make it sing, they can make it exciting. And I think one of the great things about this, and they've really found this in the States, is that companies suddenly realize that someone there who can be their advocate, can be the person that brings it to life. Sometimes it's a new career opportunity for them, but certainly it's finding those rock stars. And often they are, sitting in the CEO's office, but often they're not. And I think this is a great way in which companies find out how to tell their story and who the storyteller is in their business and how they do that well. And I think we should be doing as much of that as we can, because, whether it's in a structured environment like National Manufacturing Day, whether it's in a media interview, or whether it's just, over a pint with some friends in the pub, we need to get prouder about this world-class industry. We need to be prouder about what we achieve every year. And we need to be opening up people's eyes and saying, this is where you should be coming and working. And if you want a fantastic career, and if you want to do exciting new things, this is the place to come and work. And finding those storytellers, finding those advocates, that will be a great step forward for us.
Yeah, and as you say, people think of it as low-paid work. It's actually categorically proven that manufacturing and engineering pay significantly above the average wages, and some of the highest paid jobs in the country are manufacturing and engineering roles. But couldn't agree more. Every site visit I've ever been to, regardless of what is being made, it's just amazing. It is just amazing. You look at the process, you look at the plant in situ, you look at the Swiss watch precision, the immaculate placement of every tool and every piece of equipment. Everyone knows their job, and every single place. What I love about it is, I don't think I've been to a site ever that doesn't have at every station what suggestion can you make when you've been on your shift or you've been doing whatever? What suggestion have you got for us to improve our business? And some of those suggestions make transformational. So, as you say, it doesn't have to be the CEO that's come up with a new idea. What the CEO or the head of plant or the head of site has to do is provide an environment where people can make the suggestions that transform those businesses. Because the people in engineering and manufacturing are superstars across the board. They work well together and they engage, and it is a really, really cool environment. So, absolutely agree with that. And when we find these, as you are going through and we're finding these rock stars, we want to make sure that we're absolutely ploughing the conference program for next year's Manufacturing and Engineering Week and giving a platform like we were able to with Ben and Crystal Doors, but across the board. Whether it's on podcasts with us, whether it's doing what you're doing, let's just make sure that we are shouting from the rooftops about how amazing this sector is.
Absolutely. I think, it is a genuine British success story. And I know, having worked overseas, supporting British firms, win new business overseas, open up export markets, build on the success we've got. I think people here at home don't understand just how amazing the Made in Britain brand is, don't appreciate how that is globally a hallmark of quality. And in particular, going back to the R&D and the innovation, it's frustrating because we often lose those products, but it's a real indication of how good we are that people come and look at British firms because they know that everywhere they look, there is a great idea, a great product. And what we have to get better at is to maximize that ourselves and hang on to that IP and hang on to that capability. But those products so often come out of the innovation on the production line. They come out of someone in the factory thinking that we could just tweak this and we could do something really different. And someone saying there's a real opportunity that we're not looking at if we could do something like this. And I think that hallmark of quality and that real reputation for innovation, those will be the real watchwords for us over the next few years. And we need to be boasting about it sometimes because it will help change perceptions and it will be for the real advantage of the sector.
Well, it's been, I think the reality is that you and I could keep talking for quite some time. Sadly, we've run out of time now, but thank you so much. I know you've had a full-on week, so thank you so much for joining us live to talk about these things and to talk about what we've experienced over the last few days, what's going on. And as always, we are so grateful to Make UK for your wholehearted partnership with us at Manufacturing and Engineering Week. So just to say thank you again to Ben Fletcher, COO of Make UK. It's been brilliant.
Thank you too. It's been a fantastic week. I can't wait to do it again next year.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Natig. As I say, that draws us to a close of this fantastic first edition of the Manufacturing and Engineering Week. It's been brilliant. We're so thrilled with the response. Thank you to all of you for your participation and your engagement. Please do watch this space. They will be making further announcements alongside the exciting one that Natig referred to earlier of 19 Group's acquisition of the manufacturer, a huge step forward in our quest to be a significant driving force for change and positivity across manufacturing and engineering. So in the meantime, thank you once again for all of you that have participated. Please do dial in for on-demand viewing of those pieces that you've missed. And in the meantime, have a great weekend and we look forward to seeing you next year. So don't forget, that's the 6th and 7th of June 2023 at the NEC for the physical events. And then it will be the 5th and the 8th for our digital sessions. So thank you so much again and see you there.
Well, here we are on day one of Manufacturing Week, and I must have seen 1,000 manufacturing shows over my time in manufacturing over the last 40 years. And it's always a great pleasure to see the excitement at a show like this. It's a brand new activity. Everyone's enthusiastic, everyone's eager to learn, everyone's discussing their issues and opportunities with each other. So the community engagement's really, really high.
Blown my socks off so far, because just full of energy and encouragement about a different type of business. I wasn't intending on coming back tomorrow, but I think I will be.
I've just come off the stage to a great audience and I spent a bit of time wandering around seeing all the amazing innovation and tech that is picking up engineering and making us remember the opportunity we have in the UK to make stuff. We can make anything in the UK, and with the brains and the tech that we see here today, we've got to fire up British manufacturing.
Thank you.